After a long train journey, Paxton is found unconscious in his seat. Martin is nowhere to be seen. Paxton is rushed to the hospital where doctors manage to stabilize him and bring him back to consciousness. Not long after, government officials arrive to question him about what happened. Paxton explains everything. He talks about a secret organization that kidnaps tourists and sells them to wealthy clients who pay for the ultimate thrill, the chance to kill. Every member of this organization carries the same mark, a dog tattoo on their arm. Suddenly, one of the officers locks the door, rolls up his sleeve to reveal that very tattoo, and pulls a knife on Paxton. But it is only a nightmare. Paxton is still haunted by what he survived. He believes he and his girlfriend are safe now, living far away from the city, hidden from the organization that might still be hunting him. The next morning, his girlfriend wakes up to the sound of a gardener using a chainsaw outside. When she goes down to check underneath the house, she is met with a horrifying sight. Paxton is dead. The gardener is no ordinary worker. He is an agent sent by the organization to finish the job. Later, he delivers a box containing Paxton's severed head to an elderly man, the true boss behind the entire operation. And the nightmare that began before is far from over. Welcome to Hostel Part 2. Now the story shifts to Beth, the daughter of a wealthy American businessman. She is studying art in Rome, currently attending a painting class where the model is a young woman named Alexi. After class, Beth's close friend Whitney suggests a weekend trip to Prague, which is not too far away. When Beth asks her father for permission, he immediately offers to arrange everything, from a private jet to luxury accommodations. But Beth does not want to stand out. She turns down the lavish offer and chooses to travel on a budget instead. So Beth, Whitney, and their nerdy friend Lorna board an economy class train headed for Prague. At one point, Beth and Whitney step away to grab drinks, leaving Lorna alone with her music, which she prefers anyway. While they are enjoying their drinks, a stranger approaches and invites them to his train compartment. Beth is hesitant at first, but Whitney agrees and Beth reluctantly follows. Inside, they are met by the man's friends, who quickly begin acting inappropriately. The atmosphere turns uncomfortable, and Beth and Whitney decide to leave. Back in their own compartment, they find Lorna in a panic. Her iPod has been stolen by a mysterious man. As Whitney considers going after him, she notices the same group of men causing trouble throughout the train. Realizing something is off, she quickly returns and locks their compartment door tightly. A sudden knock interrupts them. It is Alexi. She has recovered Lorna's iPod and returns it. She explains that she is heading to Slovakia and suggests they join her if they want a more exciting and unforgettable trip. In the end, Beth, Whitney, and Lorna decide to skip Prague altogether and follow Alexi to Slovakia instead. The hostel they check into turns out to be the very same one Paxton and his friends once stayed at. Even the receptionist is the same man from before. After they check in and hand over their passwords, the receptionist slips into a hidden room. There, he scans their information and sends it off to clients connected to the secret organization. It becomes clear that this hostel has always been a front. It is a pipeline. Tourists arrive, their details are processed, and once they are sold to the highest bidder, they are taken one by one. Soon, the auction begins. Wealthy buyers from around the world place their bids. Lorna is purchased by a rich woman with a disturbing obsession. Meanwhile, Beth and Whitney are bought together by a stockbroker named Todd. Thrilled with his purchase, Todd immediately calls his friend Stuart. Stuart is not nearly as wealthy, and he has a wife and 2 young children waiting back home. When Todd and Stuart arrive in Slovakia by private jet, they are welcomed by members of the organization and taken to an exclusive lodge reserved for clients. Stuart is clearly nervous. This is his first time doing something like this, and it shows. Still, he does not want to disappoint Todd, so he brushes off his anxiety and pretends he is just tired. As part of the initiation process, Todd receives a signature dog tattoo. When it is Stuart's turn, he hesitates. He even refuses at first, worried about what his wife would think. But he is already there, and Todd pressures him just enough. In the end, Stuart gives in and takes the tattoo as well. Meanwhile, Beth and her friends explore the city. At one point, they run into a group of local kids who harass tourists for money. When Lorna tries to offer them candy, one of the boys spits at her and runs off. That night, the girls attend the city's annual festival. The atmosphere feels lively and welcoming. Music fills the streets, and locals celebrate all around them. Lorna catches the attention of a tall man who invites her to dance, then offers to take her on a boat ride to see the city at night. Not wanting to disappear without saying anything, Lorna asks Beth for permission. Beth warns her to be careful, but Lorna is naive and easily swayed. She leaves with the stranger anyway, and Beth can only watch her go. Later, Beth is approached by a handsome local man who asks her to dance. He claims he has something important to tell her. Beth senses something is off and refuses. The receptionist, who also happens to be at the festival, steps in as if to help, possibly noticing that Beth is uncomfortable with the situation. Without them realizing it, Todd and Stuart are also at the festival, quietly observing the very people they plan to hunt. Curious about his assigned target, Stuart approaches Beth and spends a few minutes talking to her, trying to understand who she is. Meanwhile, Lorna is out on the boat with the stranger. He takes her far from the crowds to a quiet, isolated spot. Once they reach land, he asks her to close her eyes. Seconds later, she is overpowered and taken. With Lorna now captured by the organization, Beth becomes the most alert among the three friends. She senses that something is wrong. When she sees Whitney getting drunk with a guy she just met, Beth steps in, worried about her safety. Back at the hostel, Beth makes sure the guy leaves Whitney alone. As she does, she notices two suspicious men clearing out items from one of the guest rooms, which only deepens her unease. At the same time, Lorna is already in a horrifying place, suspended upside down. The wealthy woman who purchased her arrives to claim what she paid for. Armed with a centuries-old blade, she begins her brutal ritual. The next morning, Todd and Stuart go for a jog, preparing themselves mentally for the night ahead. Stuart finally admits that he is not sure he can go through with it. That leads to tension between them. Todd reminds Stuart of the debts he once paid off for him. Stuart feels trapped by gratitude and obligation, once again forced to follow Todd's lead. Elsewhere, Beth and her friends visit a public hot spring. Beth cannot stop thinking about Lorna, and she struggles to enjoy the trip. Even when Alexi approaches her, Beth keeps her distance and closes her eyes, waiting for Whitney to finish with her new companion. Suddenly, the hot spring is empty. No one else is around. Alexi is there as well. She claims to be his daughter, but the truth is far less glamorous. She is just another employee, assigned to scout and mark potential victims for auction. After Beth's clothes are changed and her makeup is redone, Alexi tells her to rest while they wait for the police to investigate the disappearances of Lorna and Whitney. But the moment Alexi leaves the room, Beth's instincts kick in. She looks out the window and realizes the same men who chased her earlier have entered the house. Panicking, she hides inside a wardrobe. What she does not realize is that the wardrobe leads to a hidden chamber. Inside, she discovers a private collection of severed heads, trophies kept from victims considered special or troublesome. Among them is Paxton's head. Before she can react, several men burst in and restrain her. With Beth captured, the focus shifts to Whitney, who is being held with other tourists. One by one, they are taken to a makeup artist assigned to prepare them, so they appear presentable for their buyers. Whitney seizes the opportunity and bites the woman's nose, attempting to escape, but she is quickly overpowered and caught again. Once Beth and Whitney are ready, the organization contacts Todd and Stuart, instructing them to come to the facility. Stuart still looks unsure, but Todd tries to convince him. He frames it as a reward, something bold and unforgettable, something they deserve to experience at least once. At the factory, they are led into a preparation room filled with sharp tools and equipment. Stuart hesitates, but out of loyalty to Todd, he pushes forward. Soon they are separated into different rooms. Todd chooses Whitney. He has been the most eager from the beginning, barely able to contain his excitement. But when he starts, things do not go as planned. His saw malfunctions when the cord disconnects, causing chaos and panic. In that moment, Todd's true nature is exposed. Beneath the bravado, he is weak and unable to handle the reality of what he has started. Instead of finishing what he began, Todd tries to walk away. He forgets one crucial rule in his contract: every client must complete the act. When he insists on leaving, the guards release aggressive dogs into the elevator with him. Todd's story ends there. In another room, Stuart finally comes face to face with Beth. Even though he knew she was his assigned victim, he is shaken to see it is the same woman he spoke to at the festival. Sympathy takes over. He removes her restraints and urges her to stay quiet so the guards will not hear them. But Stuart is bound by contract. He must choose between killing Beth or sacrificing himself like Todd did. As he struggles with the decision, Beth quickly tries to persuade him not to go through with it. She reminds him that he is not the kind of man who would take someone's life. This is where Beth makes a critical mistake. In trying to convince Stuart not to go through with it, she unintentionally suggests that he is not capable, that he does not have the nerve to do something like this. To Stuart, it sounds like she is calling him weak. That word hits a nerve. It reminds him of Todd, constantly bringing up the debts he paid for him, always treating him like someone inferior, someone who had to follow orders. Something shifts inside Stuart. The hesitation disappears. Instead of backing down, he strikes Beth from behind and knocks her out. The man who once seemed decent now reveals a darker side. He ties Beth back to the chair, colder and more determined than before. Not long after, the guards inform him that Todd is dead for violating the contract. The message is clear. There are consequences for disobedience. Meanwhile, Whitney is patched up so she can be resold. The boss's assistant tries offering her to another client who happens to be preoccupied with Whitney's new boyfriend. When that buyer declines, the assistant approaches Stuart. This time, Stuart does not hesitate. He agrees to purchase Whitney. It takes him less than a minute to end her life. Realizing there is no way out, Beth shifts to a second strategy. She begins flattering Stuart, praising his strength and masculinity, feeding his ego. The tactic works. Feeling empowered and validated, Stuart loosens her restraints again, unaware that Beth is waiting for the right moment. The second she has the chance, she attacks.
Get in the chair! Get in the fucking chair!
By the time the boss and the guards rush in, Beth has Stuart exactly where she wants him. When the boss orders the guards to shoot them both, Beth quickly makes a bold offer. She proposes a massive sum of money to buy Stuart herself. She even offers to join the organization. As the daughter of an extremely wealthy man in the United States, she represents far greater profit. The boss is intrigued and accepts. Stuart tries to raise his bid, but it is too late. The boss already knows his background. He is just an ordinary office worker who was brought here by Todd. Compared to Beth, he is expendable. Since membership requires a kill, Beth completes the requirement herself. As she receives the dog tattoo that marks her initiation, Beth makes one more offer. She wants to purchase someone else, Alexei. The boss, who only cares about money and not loyalty, agrees without hesitation. Beth then manipulates the same group of troublesome kids to steal Alexei's bag, luring her into a secluded area. There, waiting with an axe in hand, Beth finishes what she started. So the moral of the story is, if a stranger with a cool travel plan shows up and someone flashes a dog tattoo, just go home and never upgrade your adventure package.